Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be interesting because I am comparing and I've been testing out these two putty primers that have been in the market. This one just recently came out. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Putty Primer, and I'm putting it up against the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, which has been out already for a couple of years. So I have thoughts about it. So if there's nothing else for me to say, then let's get started. So when e.l.f. came out with this putty primer, Tacha had just come out with theirs. So that was already a big deal already. And quite honestly, this kind of seems to have dominated the market since then. And then Physicians Formula came out with their Butter Believe It Putty Primer. So it's very similar in size, and it just looks, the coloring looks very similar. I don't know if you can tell. The e.l.f. one's a little more peachy, and the Physicians Formula is a little more yellow tone to it. And you know, the packaging is very, very similar. I will say this, that there is a scent in the Physicians Formula Putty Primer, and it's that smell, maru butter, and you know, it's infused with it, but it also has kupochu butter and takuma butter. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of that. So I'm going to show you really quick how they look and feel. For sure, the Poreless Putty Primer is more of a thicker consistency, and of course it just blends right out really quick, so you can kind of see it just is, it's a much thicker consistency, and of course it blends right out, just disappears. So the one thing that makes the Physicians Formula one a little more interesting is because the texture is much lighter. It definitely has a much more oily, kind of slick feel to it. It is not oily. It feels like it. So it's so much lighter. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate for you really quick on my face, and I actually have foundation, so I don't have anything on my face, so you can kind of see. So for sure, you can just kind of tell already, and in fact, I'll do this, and I will use my other hand. This is the one thing that is kind of a downfall, is having to put your finger in this jar, and I kind of wish I didn't have to, but I don't know if you can tell right away the consistency. This is the Physicians Formula right here, and then this is the e.l.f. one, so you can definitely tell the consistency is very, very different. Very buttery here, a little more of, I don't know, a firmer texture to it. So it's definitely something that is very, very unique with each of them, and I thought that was really, really unique in how, you know, Physicians Formula was able to create such a buttery texture to this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blend that all in, and you can kind of see how the e.l.f. one looks on my skin. I know my skin gets red. Try not to rub too much, but you can kind of see how it looks. You don't need a lot for either of these putty primers to get the coverage that you need. So like I said, it's very buttery. It has more of an oily feel to it. It is not, in a sense, super oily, but it's supposed to give a really nice texture and feel to your skin. This blends out so quickly. It's very light, the Physicians Formula. It's the primer is very, very light, and you don't need very much. Like with the e.l.f. primer, it just comes out really, it spreads out very nicely, and you don't need a lot. This is the Physicians Formula, you can kind of see, and then this is the e.l.f. one right here. It's definitely a very strange feeling having the two on each side, which is what I've been doing lately to kind of get a good idea between the two. And it's so different than what we've seen in e.l.f. Just to let you know, Physicians Formula, the putty primer, you can get it from about $9 to $12 depending on where you go to get it. And of course the e.l.f. one, it's about 8 to 10 depending on where you go. The one thing I will say with the Physicians Formula one is that it's infused with essential fatty acids. So it has a lot of really good for you ingredients for your skin to keep it really hydrated and to keep it healthy and happy. And you can just tell by the feel of it how light. It almost feels like you have nothing on your skin with the Physicians Formula, but it is there. You can feel it, but it's very light. Whereas the e.l.f. one is a little more tacky, a little more grip to it. With the results of wearing the foundation on top of it, which I will show you right now, I will say this, I honestly did not really see a difference in the sense of, you know, if it, you know, if the foundation came off or anything like that. I really didn't see any difference, especially with, you know, after a while, you know, the natural oils of my skin come through, and I honestly feel like it was about the same as the e.l.f. itself overall. It was, I don't know, the quality of it was very similar. The oils in my skin, anything like that, it was about the same. I will say this, that after, you know, finishing off my makeup and putting after putting setting spray and everything like that, I will say that this side, it seemed a little more matte than the e.l.f. side. And for me, I prefer that with an oily combo skin type. That's something that I would prefer. So it definitely gave me a little more mattiness. It gave my skin a little more matte look on this side with the Physicians versus the e.l.f. So it's definitely a little more on the matte side in the beginning. Eventually, you know, the oils in my skin will come through, and you can kind of see, you know, just the natural glow that you get with that. So I mean, just overall, I haven't really seen anything that would make me say, no, I don't like this, or yes, I love it, or anything like that. Quite honestly, I don't see anything that would cause me to pass on this. I may use the Putty Primer Physicians one formula more or whatnot, but I honestly feel like they're about the same, and there's really not much else for me to say about it, which is, you know, I don't know what else to do or tell you. I mean, there's nothing else for me to tell you to whether to stick with the e.l.f. or go to the Physicians. They're about the same for me, so I mean, it's really up to you. If you don't mind a scent in your primer, unless you are more sensitive to that, then maybe I would say steer away from that. But overall, it's your pick, versus whether it's scent or price or accessibility, whatever it may be. So whatever, overall, I think it's a fine primer. There's nothing wrong with it, and it seems to hold my makeup pretty well. Just so you can see the overall after putting a foundation on top, it's very similar. You know, there's just not much of a difference, as you can see. Maybe a little bit, you know, just a little more naturalness to it versus this one. But like I said, overall, it just looks the same on both sides. So you really, it just depends on what you prefer. But I hope this video gave you a little more insight. It gave you some more information about it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be notified of when I upload new videos, and give this video a thumbs up if this was something that was helpful for you. And I hope you have a great day, great week, great weekend. I love you, take care, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.